Welcome everybody to today's edition of the Commissioner's Conversation on COVID-19. The topic of today is offering a helping hand and aid that is available to veterans, the elderly, and others during COVID-19. My name is John O'Grady, and I am the president of the Board of Franklin County Commissioners. Today is August 27th, and so we started these conversations back in April to provide some direct information to the community and the residents with information and assistance that's available during the pandemic, with some safety tips and other useful information. The governor announced a little good news today for everybody. Franklin County has been downgraded to a level 2 on the state's health department alert system. So we are now classified as orange instead of red. Orange means that residents still must exercise caution because the coronavirus is still very much of a threat. It's important that everybody realize and understand that even though we've been downgraded to orange, we still need to be very cognizant and careful. The last thing that we need is to go back to red. We need to continue to wear our face masks. We need to continue to wash our hands. We need to continue to maintain a level of sanity here because we don't want to go backwards just because we have been downgraded to level 2. So, but all we need to do is look at the damage that the virus has inflicted in a little more than 5 months to be reminded of what can happen. The state's first coronavirus case was discovered in Ohio on March 9th. Now more than or almost 119,000 cases and a little over 4,000 deaths have happened statewide. This is as of the 24th. So Franklin County continues to have the highest number of cases in the state. We have a little over 21,000 cases here in Franklin County with 556 deaths. So unemployment claims have reached now more than 1.5 million during this pandemic, which is more than Ohio saw in 2017, 18, and 19 combined. Today, we're focusing on those that have taken care of us, and now they need help, and so we need to do what we can to take care of them, some of our most vulnerable residents as well. My guests today are Robert Buck Bramlish, who's the director of the Franklin County Veteran Service Commission, Dayna McCrary, who's our administrator for Franklin County Community Partnerships, and Orvell Johns, the director of the Office on Aging. Our veterans and our elderly have given up so much through the years to take care of us, and it's important that we take care of them now. Our community partnerships focus on those in Franklin County who need our help the most. Welcome to each of you. And so I want to remind, before we get started with our questions, I want to remind those of us that are those that are watching us on Facebook that we always try to answer your questions whenever we can. So if you go ahead and shoot us your questions on Facebook Live, we have folks that are monitoring the Commissioner's Facebook page. I apologize that you can't monitor on my Facebook page. My Facebook page was hacked this week, and it appears as though it may be a total loss at this point. So please monitor on the Commissioner's Facebook page, and we will do our best to answer your questions as we go. So let's begin. I'm going to have each of our guests introduce themselves and tell us a little bit about what your agency does. Let's start with Dayna. Dayna, you want to start us off?
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, Commissioner O'Grady. So my quote unquote agency, I'm sort of a unicorn among other departments of the county in that we are a really small shop. However, we do amazing, extraordinary work with the help of our nonprofit partners. So the Community Partnership Department facilitates discretionary grants on behalf of the Board of Commissioners. And we have 2 grant programs. One is the Community Partnership Grant Program, which has been around for more than 20 years, I believe. If I'm not, you probably have the history of that, but it's a long time. We have been giving grants through that program for a long time. And we have a second grant program called the Catalyst Program, which was initiated by the Board of Commissioners in 2019. And that program was really created to spark meaningful change in the community on behalf of Franklin County residents. So I just have the extraordinary privilege of working with nonprofit organizations all throughout Franklin County. And those organizations really are not just the backbone, but the safety net for our community. So it's really my privilege to be able to serve as the administrator for this program and to work with so many deserving nonprofit agencies on behalf of the Board of Commissioners.
Thank you, Dayna.
You're
Now,
welcome.
Orvell Johns is one of our newest directors, but he has been helping Franklin County residents for quite some time. Orvell, if you want to introduce yourself and then talk a little bit about the Office on Aging.
Thank you, Commissioner. Again, Orvell Johns, I'm Director of Office on Aging. So I'm excited about serving our seniors. So we clearly know that seniors are some of our most vulnerable in Franklin County, but what we don't always recognize is they're also our best go-to source. They have all the knowledge, they have all the wisdom, and so part of our job is to help them remain independent, help them stay in their homes. We provide them types of services. We give them home delivered meals. We help them with transportation to and from their appointments. We actually provide personal daycare for people to come in and help them maintain their hygiene. We enjoy also helping them not just remain independent, but also to keep them active. So we are working with them on that area, but we also, during this time of COVID and the crisis, we're really concerned about their isolation. So we have 105 partner providers that we work with to deliver the services, and we have about 31 grant agencies. But during COVID, we focused on 4 grants that will help our seniors make it through these tough times. And just to mention those 4, we can talk about what they do, but the 4, Life Care Alliance, Charitable Pharmacy of Central Ohio, Clintonville Beach Wall, CRC, and Central Community House. And I'll be telling you a little bit more about those grants and how we're helping with our seniors when they're sheltering in. So I'm excited about having an opportunity to let seniors know what we offer them today.
All right, thank you, Orvell. Now, Buck, you've been a tireless advocate for our veterans. Introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about the Veterans Service Commission and what you can highlight there.
Happy to, and thank you, Commissioner O'Grady, and to Commissioner Brown and Boyce as well. I should say for veterans in Franklin County, this county has been generous and supportive of veterans before COVID, and they've only become more supportive and generous during the COVID crisis. Our agency goes all the way back to the end of the Civil War, and it was really about President Lincoln's address about taking care of those that bore in the battle, their widows and their orphans. And so from that 150 plus years ago, that's what we do. We serve the 65,000 plus veterans in Franklin County and widows and widowers, and provide basically 2 main things: emergency financial aid so that we can help them get through a crisis while we work with partners to develop more long-term solutions. And then we provide access and live access. We actually fill out forms and work with them, access to VA benefits. That includes, federal VA benefits, even local benefits like the Ohio Department of Veteran Services here in Ohio. And so we serve, last year we saw about 5,500 veterans face-to-face 22,000 times. And so I'm excited to talk about what we're doing in the COVID crisis and then what in general we can provide veterans today.
Well, I appreciate that. So speaking of the crisis, the COVID crisis, we began back in March when the COVID crisis first began to take hold. We began with, immediately to do what we could to put into play as many dollars as we possibly could to help aid our residents. And to this point, we've put $30 million in aid into different programs in Franklin County, programs that have been a variety, that have helped with a variety of grants and loans for businesses, the Emergency Overflow Center, money for homeless shelters, specific aid for minority-owned businesses who are largely shut out of federal aid. So we've, the county commissioners have done a number of things, to assist in any ways that we could. But, we wanted to highlight these particular areas. So the three of you, Buck, Orvell, Dayna, tell us a little bit about your agencies and what programs or the program changes that you guys have made or started. Dayna, the resilience initiatives, CARES Act funding with Columbus, and mention three of the big programs that are helping the residents, the Charitable Pharmacy, the Mental Health Food Bank, COSI, and the Children's Hunger Alliance. Can you talk about these things?
Sure, I'd be happy to. First of all, what's really exciting, the biggest thing on my plate right now is the work that we are partnering with the City of Columbus on right now. And it's the Resilience Initiative, which is designed to give nonprofit organizations in Columbus and Franklin County, not a handout, but a hand up right now. So we're so excited to be involved in that work. The City of Columbus came forward with $15 million. The commissioners generously contributed $5 million. So right now we have a pot of $20 million that we are currently reviewing grants and making sure that we target those funds to the most, to really see where they can be of most use and most beneficial, and making sure that every area of Franklin County is represented in a broad and diverse way. So we're still reviewing those grants, and we will make an announcement here pretty soon regarding where those dollars are going to go. Now, I will say we've had 3 agencies that have really done all of our, I should start by saying that all of our nonprofit partners have been incredibly nimble in terms of saying, okay, we planned to do A, B, and C. Then we got hit with a pandemic, so we're going to quickly change gears and get over here and deliver programs X, Y, and Z in response to community need. So the work that Charitable Pharmacy is doing, I'm so happy to say that we have partnered with Charitable Pharmacy. They also have work with the Office on Aging that Orvell will tell you about. But one of the things that I have been most impressed with is they quickly stood up a program to get medication to those in need with a drive-through service model. They quickly brought together a program where they could mail 90 days of prescription medication directly to people's doors, which is so important right now. So many people who use charitable pharmacist services have underlying conditions. They may have a heart condition or diabetes, and the last place that they want to go is out into a busy grocery store or a drugstore, these types of public places. So Charitable Pharmacy quickly changed gears and said, we will qualify a 90-day prescription and we will send it to your door, which was a Herculean task for them, because usually they have a very large cadre of volunteers who come in and help to package medications. So their staff really stepped up and saw to it that medications were prepared and ready to go. So we were very happy to be able to help assist with that effort, because of course they had to purchase additional medications that they hadn't budgeted for, and they had to get postage, they had to get tents so that people would have a sheltered area to drive through to receive their medications and have a quick consultation with a pharmacist if they needed to do that. So that has been really impressive work. The Mid-Ohio Food Bank, another agency that has really done extraordinary things to meet community need. They called in the National Guard to help package food because the food bank really relies very heavily, of course, on volunteers. But early on, we couldn't have crowds assembling and things of that nature. So they quickly were nimble on their feet and said, we are going to go to a contactless provision of meals. So now they have available prepackaged meals that you can simply drive up to the food bank and receive. Not only that, in the past, the person who was receiving the meals had to really be the one to show up and get them. But they quickly changed systems and processes so that people could send a proxy. I don't want my grandmother to come out and be exposed to crowds and people and so on. So she's going to send her granddaughter, or she will send her neighbor to go and get the groceries that she needs and brings them home. So it's very similar to like a curbside express. So really they are constantly changing to be more customer oriented, and particularly in the time of the pandemic. And the next program that I want to tell you about is so exciting and so extraordinary. COSI is partnering with Franklin County Children's Services and Children's Hunger Alliance to deliver food and learning lunchboxes to satisfy the needs of hungry bodies and hungry minds for children who are under-resourced in the community. This program is being supported by a generous grant from the Board of Commissioners, and children can receive a week's worth of lunches, a week's worth of STEM lessons. The program is stood up really close to library branches so that even if you don't have access to the internet at home, while you are in that parking lot, you can download the learning lunchbox lessons to your Android or Apple device and have access to those, even if you're not online. So it really helps to equalize the learning capability for so many children. And I think that's just very important at a time like this. Thus far, in the past 2 months, COSI has distributed 2,000 learning lunchboxes, and they have all sorts of metrics regarding who is downloading the information, whether they're coming back week after week, and the program has just been met with phenomenal positive response. So we're very pleased to be a part of that partnership.
That's great. Those are great programs. That's great stuff. So I appreciate that. Thank you for that information, Dayna. So Buck, talk to us about eviction services and some of the stuff that your agency has going on. I know that you've done a number of things with not only eviction services, but the work that you guys have done through JFS, Impact, CMHA. Tell us about some of the things that you guys are working on.
We'd love to, thanks. So we obviously, like everybody else, had to pivot. We've been a face-to-face organization all our entire process, and we had a pivot. Next thing you know, half of our work comes in through drop boxes now. And so really the public really has responded to the challenges of COVID. The first thing we did was we talked about nutrition and then eviction. And of course, the eviction stay kind of gave us a little bit of time to try to work together. There's this Housing Stabilization Coalition that has brought together so many key partners like the ones you mentioned, Impact and CMHA and JFS, Urban League, Legal Aid. And we've just been working together to try to streamline how can we support, in our case, veterans, in the case of this coalition, all of Franklin County citizens. How can we help stabilize rent during this tough time? So, for us right now, we've probably provided about $200,000 worth of rent stabilization. We're working with eviction court, so we're trying to interact before they get to the eviction court. But if not, we want to be there and support at eviction court so we can try to help those landlords and those tenants with the mediation services, help them find some kind of solution to try to keep them in their home. And so this is ongoing for us as we've been watching the eviction process. The other thing that we really focused on was nutrition. Since March, since about the middle of March, we've provided over 2,000 veteran families with over $600,000 worth of nutritional supplements. And this was very important in the beginning. It was a COVID program where we streamlined the process to seek out that support. And I know we'll talk about maybe contact information here towards the end of the meeting. But we had over 2,000 seek this kind of support for us. We're still supporting nutritional needs. The nutritional needs of our veterans, especially those that have been in a poverty cycle and locked in it right now, have never been more of a challenge. So those are the two big areas that we've supported. We've introduced ourselves to maybe a little over 250 new veterans because of the crisis, but we know there's so many more veterans out there that just aren't aware of our program. Maybe they haven't needed us in the past, and all of a sudden one spouse, who's either been laid off or they're not making the money they were. And we're a needs-based program, not an income-based program. And what that means is come in and demonstrate your need. We'll ask questions. And when I say come, it's all done virtual now. It's over the phone. But demonstrate your need, and we're going to find a way to support you. And then real quickly, just to kind of wet the whistle, if I've got some attention out there, there are so many other programs that we support pre-COVID and right now during the COVID that the public should be aware of for our veterans and their families. We provided over 10,000 medical transportation visits last year for VA type medical appointments. We supported over $450,000 worth of dental support. Very hard for a lot of veterans, especially in that poverty cycle, to get access to dental. So we really have a nice dental program. We provided, a couple $100,000 for utility support. We have a holiday meal card program that we do at the end of the year. We have a home modification program with Mr. Johns' Office on Aging that we provide funding and they provide expertise and execute. So there's an awful lot out there that we want to provide veterans. We just want to get the word out and have people pick up the phone and call us. Thanks.
Hey, thank you, Buck. So Orvell, tell us a little bit about Meals for Seniors and some of the other program changes for COVID-19.
I'll do that. So before I do that, thank you for announcing the partnership we have with Home Repair. So I appreciate that. And as I say what we do, Commissioner, I just want to first give a lot of praise to our staff. We have the most amazing staff at Franklin County Office on Aging. I enjoy working with them because they're highly professional. So as we talk about what we're doing for seniors, we would have wanted to do this anyway. So we're very quick on our feet, as Dayna said, to pivot to assist. But we have professionals, licensed social workers, our case managers have always been on the phone with our seniors. So I'm excited about them. I just want you to know that what we are doing now is because of them. So let me just talk about our food program. So we, since April 1st, we have a food program that we allow seniors or anyone who's disabled to get a meal, home delivered meal, without an income requirement. We deliver it to them. And since April 1st, we've had about 1,700 meals delivered. The program is so successful that the commissioners and you guys and county administration allowed us to extend that program to December 30th. We have so many people calling us every day, still trying to get meals. So we average about 216 calls a day. So we are trying to process that, and we're happy about that, especially because we're delivering those meals in those hard-hit zip codes where poverty is high. So we know that generally when hard times hit, it's those areas that have a difficult time receiving supports, receiving aid. So we're excited that we focused this program on those particular areas. So the Meals program is so successful and it's so necessary that you hear everyone talking about providing the meals. Mid-Ohio Food Bank stepped up. What we realized is that seniors didn't want to leave their home, and some of their support network couldn't leave their home either. So that's why it was so important that we were able to deliver them at home. So we appreciate what everybody's doing. The partnerships of just making sure that our community's needs were met, it's amazing. So I love working with Veterans Administration, and I love working with Dayna in those areas. Life Care Alliance is the one that helped us deliver that. It was a COVID grant of $250,000 that we worked with them on to deliver those meals. So we enjoyed that relationship. I guess I said we fostered it, and we want that to be extended. And you, Commissioner, and the county administrations made sure that that happened.
Well, I appreciate that. That's good stuff. It's also worth noting, by the way, there's 3 different PRC grants. PRC is I always get I get my tongue out before, or my tongue out before my brain engages. It's prevention, retention, and contingency through the Department of Job and Family Services. The amounts range between $500 and $1,500. And you can learn more about them at jfs.franklincountyohio.gov. But there are definitely more things out there that you can learn about that. And we'll put that on the Facebook Live feed. Our folks will have that out there so that you can research that there. Buck, there's also some other financial assistance that's always available for vets, and we can tell them about your website and phone number. But there's other things. 2019, you provided support to over 5,000 individuals, over 22,000 times. That included 4,000 applications for food assistance. And the 90% of our applicants were male, 10% were female. So I mean, there's just more information and a lot more stuff. What's the number? What's your website and your phone number? Go ahead and give it to us, but then we'll also put that on Facebook Live on the feed as well.
Yes, Commissioner, thanks. So the phone number is 614-525-2500. And I'll say it again, 614-525-2500. And so we have people answering the phone. There is a delay now because it's got a process, and then it's assigned out for someone to make a phone call back. But we're making hundreds of calls a day and thousands of calls like everybody else is. There's also a way to reach us and an email address. I'll give that once, and then our website. The email address is veteransserve@franklincountyohio.gov. And so I'll go veteran, VETERANSSERVE. So that's veteransserve@franklincountyohio.gov. And then finally, our website is vets,
Good. So here's another thing, by the way. So the federal benefits of $600 a week to help those who've lost their jobs, that's stopped. Congress doesn't appear as though they're close to a solution on that. So how has this affected all of your clients? I know the VSC you're monitoring what's occurring with unemployment compensation. Change puts an increased strain on those who are out of work because of COVID-19. And now they can't pay rent and utilities. They're having a hard time facing eviction and foreclosure. So how's this, the $600 a week, how's that impacting your folks?
Well, it really is impacting the veteran community. Again, it's hard to, put break our veterans into groups, but you have a group that, is always living at the margin. And so those at the margin or even a little bit below the margin, it just stops. They are They're struggling. They're not making their rent. We're trying to help them keep food on the table. Working with the Housing Stabilization Coalition, the tsunami of evictions that everyone's predicting hasn't happened yet. They've certainly started to increase, and the numbers in the last week of eviction filings really ticked up this last week. So, we're just waiting for the large numbers that were predicted to start to hit. So they just don't have the money. So what we're trying to do is, we kind of stick our finger in the holes in the dam. We try to stop the water while to the commissioner's point, whether the $600 program comes back to fruition, whether there's some other programs that are going to help. We're just trying to make time and space for those programs to take place. The other kind of group are those that haven't used us and just didn't even know about us. And we need them to know about us because you're a veteran, you're eligible for these services. And if you've taken any kind of financial hit based on the COVID, and I would say based on anything, I mean, we have an emergency financial program. So COVID is but the big crisis that we're all dealing with. But if you have an emergency financial issue, call us. We'll put in a service officer in contact with you, and we'll talk to you about why, what's happening, what's the numbers look like. Our job is to plug the gap and then try to help guide you toward maybe some more permanent solutions.
That's right. Good stuff. So Dayna, you're constantly worrying about, and we always are worrying about eviction and residents that are getting enough, whether they're getting enough food or not. So you worked with us on grants with the United Way of Central Ohio and some funding for local community relief, addressing gaps in resources. You want to talk about those?
Yes, I think, thank you, Commissioner. Early on, we adopted sort of that higher level approach. The Board of Commissioners made large grants to organizations that were already stood up in the community that could reach their constituents more quickly. It's anyone who's familiar with the contracting process with the Board of Commissioners or any government entity, that we have to have a resolution and a contract. And we knew that we needed to get money and resources to people as quickly as possible. So we decided to make a large grant to the United Way, which was then, they were able to leverage an additional $125,000 to match the $250,000 that the Board of Commissioners granted. So then we were able to extend the commissioners' reach into the community in partnership with the United Way to the tune of $325,000. And they were accepting applications almost every week. And they weren't lengthy. It wasn't, like people had to stay up late at night and hire a grant writer. But it was really designed to be a streamlined process that got funding out into the community very quickly. So we were thrilled to be able to partner with the United Way to provide money in the community when it was really needed most.
That's great. And the point was we needed, people needed access. People were
right.
I mean, this was all stuff that was happening very rapidly because, people were waking up and finding themselves out of work for the first time. We had right. Customers, clients that were, had never found themselves clients of Franklin County before. Right. People that, as when we talked to Matt Havesh, people who were seeking food from the shelter, who or from the food bank, who had never ever sought food from the food bank before. People who were seeking unemployment benefits that had never sought unemployment benefits before. So this was all new. I'm sure Buck and you guys were dealing with people that were brand new to the system. I'm saying and I'm sure maybe Orvell from your perspective, folks that were reaching out for services that had never had to reach out for services before. So this was a lot of new stuff, a lot of new people in the system. And so we we recognized early on that we had an influx that needed to be addressed, and so we couldn't wait around. We needed to make sure there were dollars available. So, Orvell, you talked earlier about meals, and I'm sure that there's, I mean, that's another. I mean, your agency is constantly providing meals. That's just one of the things that you do. Same thing with Buck, but you guys also provide medications, and this has been a big topic of conversation here recently, especially with the troubles that the United States Postal Service is going through. But can you talk about the program to help seniors with their medications? Obviously, transportation is another issue that you guys deal with. Some of the other things that you guys do, especially now that folks aren't leaving their house so much.
So definitely. So let me say this. So before I get into that, dealing with unemployment in seniors, we've been hit hard in three ways. One is that obviously we are impacted by the layoffs more because seniors are in those jobs that were just not generally on the front line. So those who were working they were part of that 1.5 million as well that filed for unemployment. But also their caregivers, their children, their grandchildren who support them, they lost their jobs. So when they lost their job, some of that money that helped our seniors remain independent was gone. And definitely now that they're not getting that $600 check, so they're struggling. But they also, some of them, because of that struggle, they had to go out and put themselves back in harm's way to start working again just to survive. And that's hard for us at Aging to watch, that our seniors having to put themselves in harm's way just to maintain, a healthy lifestyle. So, we're praying for them. So we're hoping that works out. But so some of the things we provide, you talked about already, was transportation. And definitely when we're worried about their health, we need to make sure they can get to their appointments in a safe manner and in a timely manner, and that we're making sure that the vehicles wait for them because it's longer wait time, with everyone having to be tested prior with their temperature taken, making sure that they have masks. There's a long line. There's a long line that these seniors are waiting in, and they're generally sitting in the car waiting on that. So we appreciate our partners and who transport. We've helped them with providing them with PPEs just so they can remain safe and our seniors feel comfortable in their cars. So definitely getting them back and forth to their medical appointments is important. But let's go back and we talk about Charitable Pharmacy of Central Ohio. One of the things that Dayna was talking about was just the need for prescription drugs. Well, since she had mentioned a number of things, I just want to hone in on the fact that some of those prescription drugs are only 30-day prescriptions. We help with extending that to 90 days. So, we knew you couldn't go out and get them. We knew that it was the mail was having a difficult time delivering things. So if we could help out by having a 90-day supply instead of a 30-day supply, that was the least that we can do. So we are so concerned about our seniors' health and making sure that there's no interruption in their medication that, yes, we wanted to fund that opportunity. It was about a $100,000 grant that we put forth in that partnership. And the seniors are, enjoying that service.
That's great stuff. So I had another video conference this morning, and during that video conference, I had a long conversation about the Adam H. levy that's on the ballot this fall. Mental health is, a very always a very important conversation, especially amongst our aging populations, certainly amongst our veterans. But definitely now in during the crisis that we're going through at the moment, can the three of you guys speak to any of the programs that can be helpful with mental health during this time, or can any of you maybe give some thoughts on what may be important for people's peace of mind during this time?
Commissioner O'Grady, I'd be happy to speak to this issue. The Community Partnership Program has partnered with Nationwide Children's Hospital for a number of years to be in schools, to give information to educators regarding what are the signs of suicide and how do we deal with bullying and how can we best support teachers and staff in being there for our young people in the ways that they need it. None of that has changed. Children right now are going, as we all are, going through really uncertain times. Kids are feeling anxious, they feel isolated, they feel depressed, and Nationwide Children's Hospital is an incredible resource in terms of being able to provide psychiatric care, counseling, to really meet kids where they are. And what we have discovered through this pandemic is that more children are able to be served because now they are, unless it's an absolute emergency, everything is being done virtually. So kids who maybe were in Chillicothe or wherever I know we're focused on Franklin County, but this is just to say that kids who maybe, their parents couldn't get off work to run them back and forth to a counseling appointment, or they went once and they said, look, I can't use any more sick days. I can't get you back and forth. So there might not have been a continuity of services and care. But now that threshold has really been lowered because kids can just open their phone or, get on the home computer and have a one-on-one conversation with a therapist or a psychiatrist. So we are incredibly grateful for the partnership that we have with Nationwide Children's Hospital because really at this time, problems and issues that kids were having before have only become magnified as children have really become more isolated. So I would encourage parents, aunts and uncles, friends of the family, if you see a child who seems to be struggling, just share that resource and let them know that Nationwide Children's Hospital will come and meet you really in your home so that your child can get the help and the support that they need.
That's right. They've been a great partner for a long time. Buck, Orvell, do you guys have anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, let me, if I may, just a couple of quick things. A lot of talk about kids right now. So I do want to emphasize that there's a lot of stress at home, especially with those kids there. And then you add to that some of the parents that are working from home. I know in my family, one doing, we keep on switching who gets the office and who gets to sit on the bench and put their stuff on the bed. And guess where I end up all the time. So we do have a school supply program. So if you're a veteran, it's basically 200%, 250% poverty level. We provide, a gift card, if you will, to kind of help with school supplies, especially if they're going to be doing stuff at home. And so I keep encouraging you, call our number, 614-525-2500 and just talk to us about the programs. Mental health in particular, we've got an excellent VA clinic here in Franklin County and here in Central Ohio. And there's 100 social workers plus there that we work, and we've gotten to know so many of them by first name basis because they really, really care about our veterans. And so I would say again, if we have veterans out there that are struggling, whether it's long-term mental health illnesses or they're just struggling right now, give us a call at that number, talk to us. And while we try to do what our thing is, that is put our finger in the leak in the dam, try to help you out with the emergency, we're going to set you up and refer you to those VA social workers, or sometimes JFS social workers, another great partner of ours. We're going to refer you and we're going to try to help the long term as well. I had a great mentor, General John Harris, and he told me years and years ago, he said, Buck, every soldier, every once in a while has got to take a knee. And if you don't take a knee once in a while, you're going to take a fall. And so that's always resonated with me. And so we want to encourage everyone, reach out if it's your time to take a knee. And if it needs to be us to reach out, please call us. Thanks.
Got you. Orvell?
All right. Yes. So we're doing a number of things, and I'm going to quickly highlight 4 of them. First of all, I'm excited about our joint project we're doing with Adam Board. It's called the Emotional Wellness Campaign. And it's basically to spread the word with among seniors that it's safe to focus on their emotional health. You know, we still have a stigma when we're talking about emotional health and mental health. So we're trying to move that stigma to let them know that it's okay and it's safe to focus on your health. So we're excited about that. We're also working with trying to provide adult-friendly images around your mental health. And we're also working with NetCare to provide direct services. So Adam Board is also on, they're supporting that message. We just, again, had some interaction with them earlier this week, just honing that whole campaign. They are so supportive. We love them for that. It's great that we all can focus on taking care of the whole body. So I appreciate that. One of the things we did creatively was with Central Community House. We understand that they're isolated and we understand that they're separate from their loved ones. So part of that mental health is due to separation, the anxiety to come from that. And Central Community House, we created a grant with them to provide Chromebooks to seniors so that they can get online. Part of it is teaching them technology and how technology can be used to further their mental health, but it connects them to their loved ones. It connects them to the world around them. It helps them with ebook registrations. So they're Zooming and they're just staying connected. So if we can keep their brains engaged, then that helps with their mental health. One of the things I'm also most proud about is our case managers. I mentioned that we have an amazing team here at Aging, and we have what has become check-ins. Our case managers periodically do check-ins with some of our seniors, and so they will call in and see how they're doing, checking on them, checking to see if their family has come to talk with them. And those calls get long because some of the seniors is finally having contact with someone and they don't want that phone call to hang up. So those check-ins are necessary, but they can be difficult for our case managers because they're hearing the need for our seniors to have some emotional relief. So with that, one of the things that we're doing is this is our second year of Flourish. It's an event where we focus on women over 60. And obviously we want them to flourish. I mean, that's the name of it, it's Flourish. But this year it focuses on emotional wellness. So that whole program, which will take place on September 30th, and we'll provide more information about that. But it centers around keeping our elders and our women that's over 60 just emotionally engaged, to tell them how to do it, to encourage them to do it, and to make it fun and active. So those are the 4 things that we're targeting around emotional wellness and mental health for our seniors.
That's great. So we're gonna post the information. We did a previous chat on Facebook Live a few weeks back with some of the leaders of Adam H, Erica Clark-Jones, and some of her folks. And we're gonna post that information from Adam H along with some of the information that you guys just spoke about on Facebook Live so that people have access to that. We also have some messaging around NetCare access to emotional support in their line there. So if you're feeling stressed or overwhelmed or lonely during this time of uncertainty, you can talk to someone, and that number is 614-276-CARE or 614-276-2273 to talk to a licensed NetCare access social worker or counselor who can provide emotional support and direct you to helpful resources. You can also chat online visiting netcareaccess.org, or you can go to adamhfranklin.org, adamhfranklin.org. There's other information, Nationwide Children's Hospital, Suicide Prevention Hotline, all this stuff we will put on the Facebook Live stream, and you can access it there. And then when this show's over, we'll have other information and let you have access to some more information through the commissioner's website and others. So, folks, let's go back and guys, what else? What other things during COVID-19 throughout this time do you guys want to be able to bring back up and talk to our viewers about? That's, I know that with each of you and each of your agencies, food has been a big issue. Question for aging. The Department of Aging clients always need food or food delivery, certainly during the pandemic. I know that, Orvell, you guys work with different agencies to be able to make that happen. Buck, providing food for your clients is a big issue. And Dayna, you're constantly working with different folks on this issue. Is there anything you guys want to bring up in regard to access to food before we run out of time here?
What I would say, Commissioner O'Grady, is there are so many resources out there, but I would encourage people to speak up. Let someone know that you need assistance, because no single entity can know all of the resources that are out there. But, Buck was speaking about the great programs that are provided by the veteran services. And, that's just one example. And we understand right now that people are stressed, they are overworked, they are overwhelmed. So we are extending a hand to you. If you just let us know that there's assistance that you need, we want to be that help. We want to make that connection for you. And just on an individual level, reach out to your neighbors, reach out to your friends, send a quick text message or a phone call and, I'm going to the store, can I pick up something for you? Or you've got your lawnmower out and somebody's trying to work all these hours and homeschool their kids. Maybe you can mow your neighbor's grass. But, I think it's these small measures that we can do that really just demonstrate the caring that we have for one another in Franklin County, and really what makes this such a wonderful community in which to live.
Well, I just want to say, wow, Dayna, that is just so well put. Thank you. That is so well put.
I want to give you another pat on your back. Well, this is to the veterans with a capital V. And here's a story that I don't think I've shared with too many people in the county. Right before I started working here in 2016, my father, who was a Korean War veteran, passed away. But here's what I will say. My father, as a young soldier, had a massive stroke when he was not 30 years old. At that time, we didn't know that, even if your high blood pressure could be diagnosed, it really couldn't be treated. But thanks to the Veterans Administration, my father lived longer post-stroke than he did beforehand. And that's because the soldiers got their arms around him. The Veterans Administration was a resource in seeing that each of us 6 children had access to college education. Nobody was thinking about that in the days after my father had his stroke and was in the hospital. But the Veterans Administration was there as a resource really until the end of my father's life. So I know that they do incredible work and are constantly getting a black eye, but I would say that's just one example, and think about how that is magnified across Franklin County and across the country. The resources are there. People just need to be connected to them.
Thank you for that story. And so sorry for your loss. I lost my dad, a Korean War veteran, just 2 years ago. And they're special.
Yes.
The black eye, I just want to reiterate, The VA clinic here in Franklin County is a great clinic.
Wonderful.
They do great work. They reach out. We work with them seamlessly and trying to provide long-term solutions. And so, you know, the wow that you got out of me there was, it's what every neighbor should know. Reach out, talk to each other, encourage people to seek support. And for me, please ask if they're a veteran, call us. It's just a phone call. And I've just never been. I'm so proud. I mean, I've been here 4.5 years. You know, I was a full-time soldier, and I'm amazed at how well stitched together all of these profits and nonprofits and governmental agencies, how they all work together. I'm simply amazed. And you know, so please reach out. And then my closing comment, if I may, Commissioner O'Grady, I started with thanking, you know, the three commissioners treat my agency great. So let me end with kind of where Orvell was and was so eloquent. We have a terrific staff. They're all veterans or family members of veterans. They, at a moment's notice, we pivoted to a whole new world, just like everyone else tried to, where it's all over the phone, it's Dropbox, it's how do we follow up, how do we make it easier? And I keep telling my staff, you are so successful. And because you're successful, we have options on how we can do things. We're not limited anymore. We have options that were roadblocks 6 months ago. We have options now because we truly have a staff that has just knocking it out of the park. So thanks for including us in this, Commissioner O'Grady.
I appreciate you being here. Orvell?
Yeah, so first of all, I'm not going to let Dayna outdo me. Let me give you my my love and respect for the Veterans Administration. So a personal note is that though my brother is in Pittsburgh, he just had a life-saving surgery procedure, and it was paid for with the support of the veterans, because he was obviously around the Vietnam War, and now they're helping him sustain himself with support. So I appreciate that. I've also worked with Al Edmondson. Some of you know Al Edmondson. He's with Making a Difference organizations, not for profit, and with Ohio Senator Herschel Craig. They have both veterans. They have educated me and indoctrinated me into the understanding of how the Veterans Administration helps everyone in Franklin County, not just the veteran, but how it helps everyone. So I wanted to go with note on that. But again, my closing thoughts is, we know meals are critical for survival. We know that. And so, you know, we appreciate Life Care Lines for helping partner with us to extend those meals. And as I said, we are going to extend those to December 30th. But we also encourage more people to call us up, more partners, grant partners, to call us up with innovation on how we can serve our seniors in these times. And so it doesn't have to just be meals. It can be any area of their quality of life that can be improved. Please do that. But I'm going to close with something that you always say, Commissioner O'Grady, is get outside, exercise, enjoy the weather, because that's one of the most profound areas where emotional and mental health can be cured. And you obviously will enjoy the weather. So that's what you always say. I just wanted to close with that.
Yeah. So that's, you know, when we do our calls daily or a few times a week, three times a week, you know, I always remind folks to make sure to take care of themselves and to change their perspective on, you know, don't be sedentary, don't stay inside, you know, get off your device, get off the couch, get outside and get some fresh air. Commissioner Brown is the one who's always so concerned with making sure to check on a senior, check on somebody who's by themselves, somebody who's living alone during this time, somebody, you know, a veteran or a senior, or somebody who is somebody who's shut in or doesn't have the ability to be able to get outside and get you know, have access to more folks or more exercise. And so she's been our conscience during this time. And so that's been great stuff. And so I really appreciate you guys being with us today. You've been great guests. This has been a great hour. I do want to let folks know that while the commissioners all three of us are always focused on certainly those that are the most in need in our community, and there's no question that taking care of those that have been there for us, whether they be the the seniors that raised us and brought us up, or they are the veterans that have guaranteed our liberty over the years. They are the ones that are the most important and matter the most to us. I also want to make sure that folks that are listening pay attention, and certainly you, Buck, who take care of our veterans. I have been working for the last almost a year now with Linda Logan, who runs our Greater Columbus Sports Commission. It's all taken a chance or kind of a back seat now because of the pandemic. But we are very serious here in Franklin County about exploring the possibility of bringing the Army-Navy annual Army-Navy football game to Columbus. Probably in 26, 27, somewhere around there. That game is going to be out for bid for a 5-year span in like 23, 24, 25, 26, 27. And it's almost always been in the Northeast, in Baltimore, in Philadelphia, in New York, in that area, predominantly in Philadelphia. Like 80 of the 100 and some years have been in Philadelphia. It's occasionally in New York or Baltimore. 2 times it's not been in those cities. Once it's been in Chicago back in the 1920s for the grand opening of Soldier Field, and 1 time back in 1983 it was in Pasadena in the Rose Bowl. And other than that, it's always been in either Philadelphia, New York, or Baltimore. And last December, Linda Logan and I and a few other people, along with General Farrader from the National Veterans Memorial Museum and a handful of other folks from Ohio State and elsewhere, went to Philadelphia for the game. I was in Philadelphia in December, very cold day, rainy cold day. We watched the Army-Navy game. It was an opportunity of a lifetime. I enjoyed it, even though it wasn't much of a game. Navy put a licking on them. I was there rooting for Army because almost my entire family are all Army vets. My uncle, my godfather was a Navy vet, but everybody else was an Army vet. My brothers, my dad, my uncles, and grandfather, all Army vets. So we are working on that. The bid got postponed from this summer until next year because of the pandemic, but we are still very serious about it. So we'd like the opportunity to bring it to Columbus because of the National Veterans Memorial Museum, play the game in one of the grand palaces of college football at the Shoe. We think we have a good opportunity. So,
Commissioner O'Grady, if I can share one quick story. When my father was in hospice and was no longer really speaking, I was in there, and the hospice nurse, an amazing group of people, came in, and she said, "Oh, it's the Colonel." And I looked at her and I said, "You know, my dad said that 300 times whenever we were with people, and 300 times I was ridiculous. And I would say, 'Dad, we're here to see the doctor. Dad, that doesn't matter.' I thought I was being humble, and I was really ridiculous. I didn't realize it wasn't about me. That's how he wanted to introduce me." And so I told her that story, and I said, if I could hear him say, "I love you" one more time, I said, I'd root for Navy, because he was Navy, I was Army. God is my witness. The hospice nurse looked funny, and she said, Buck, turn around. And he mouthed, "I love you." So I root for Navy.
there you go. I hear you. Well, it was, I'll tell you what, it wasn't much of a football game, but it was one heck of an experience. It was one heck of an experience. I really enjoyed that day. And everybody we talked to while we were there, while they all get the pageantry and the history of it being in the Northeast part of the country because of the locations of, it's in Philadelphia a lot because it's pretty much halfway equidistant between Annapolis and West Point. It is when we talked to them about the fact that we had the National Veterans Memorial Museum and the idea that it would be played in the Horseshoe, folks seemed to think we had a real good case. They seemed to really think we had a real good case. So anyway, that's that. Let's close the show now because now we've officially run over. So in closing, you can find all the information that we've talked about today and all the websites and the different telephone numbers and everything at commissioners.franklincountyohio.gov. You can also learn more about the Veteran Service Commission at vets.franklincountyohio.gov. You can learn more about the Office on Aging at theofficeonaging.org/default.aspx, or learn more about the Franklin County Commissioners Community Partnerships at jfs.franklincountyohio.gov/community -partnerships. We'll continue hosting these commissioners' conversations, so keep watching for details. We will always post the information on our social media channels, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Nextdoor. Of course, we want to reach as many of our residents as possible, so if you're talking to friends and neighbors, tell them that we'll be streaming conversations like these on a regular basis and posting them to our website. Until next time, I am John O'Grady, President of the Franklin County Board of Commissioners, along with my guests, Robert Buck Bramlish, Director of the Franklin County Veteran Service Commission, Dayna McCrary, Administrator for Franklin County Community Partnerships, and Orvell Johns, the Director of the Office on Aging. We hope that this was useful information. Keep watching for information on other sessions that we will announce soon. And remember, everyone, we are in this together. So we will see you all soon. Thank you for being here today. Thanks, everybody. Take care.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you.